Saham Digital, Anjuran Permodalan Nasional Berhad, kini kembali dengan program Makan Dulu. Ya, Makan Dulu ya. Saya Muhammad Sabri Rawi, pensyarah kanan Asia School of Business, ASB. Hari ini dalam Makan Dulu, kita akan membincangkan sebuah topik iaitu mengorak langkah ke arah pemulihan bersama ahli panel daripada rakan utama MIDF, iaitu Encik Azizi Haji Mustafa. Assalamualaikum Encik Azizi. Iaitu Head of Developmental Financial Division MIDF, iaitu Ketua Division Keuangan Pembangunan MIDF ya. Dan orang yang kedua bersama kita ialah Encik Imran Yassin Muhammad Yusof, Head of Research, Ketua Penyelidikan MIDF. Dan ahli panelis yang ketiga yang bersama kita di petang ini ialah Encik Khairi Shahrin Arif bin Baki, panjang namanya, Head of Digitalization MIDF, iaitu Ketua Digitalization untuk MIDF. Welcome to the session, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Datang ya.
Thank you very much.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Okay, we shall have a conversation seperti mana kita biasa-biasa bercakap kat tempat kita berbincang di kedai kopi dan di office. We make it very informal and very laid back. So thank you for spending your time with us. My first question I would like to pose to Encik Imran, because he's the head of economic research. The question is, Encik Imran, after going through the various lockdowns and the various impact on the national economy, do you feel confident that our economy will recover this year? And what's your projection for next year?
Next year. Well, I'll give a short answer, yes. But of course I'll explain, otherwise we'll be very short. Well, if you look at third quarter GDP, kita punya third quarter GDP turun 4.5%, and then first quarter GDP pun turun about 0.5%. Apa dia punya kesamaan dia? Well, basically during both period kita go through PKP, and then the third quarter was much longer lah kan. Tapi in the second quarter GDP, this is what after the first quarter where we fell by 0.5%, kita punya GDP naik 16.1% selepas PKP bulan 1 dan 2. So that's why for fourth quarter ni we expect that GDP will go up, economy will be better, we dah reopen, and then there's this pent up demand going on. Kalau kita tengok kat luar tu pun orang banyak berjalan-jalan kan, ada yang tak follow SOP pun ada kan. I want to mention lah. Tapi let me tell you a story lah kan. After this last round of PKP ni, I dengan my family, kita orang pun dah lama tak makan luar kan, asyik Grab je. So kita orang pergilah Mid Valley kan. Ada satu tempat tu kita selalu pergi. So dia buka pukul 11. And then I was like, mesti ramai orang lah. Dengar cerita queue sejam gitu. I pergilah 10.30.
10.30
pagi. 10.30 pagi. Kiasu sikit lah orang kata kan. Right. I ingat I the first kat situ. Rupanya ada dah. Dia punya line dia dah start dah. So means that people want to spend. And then I heard story over the weekend kan. I punya family members, my wife punya family members, rakan-rakan semua pergi hotel, and it took them like 3-4 hours baru boleh dapat check-in. Ada tu sampai pukul 9. So it means that people want to spend now, people want to go out, and then it seems that companies pun or this retail side ni tak cukup pekerja. So we can expect that untuk meet demand ni, pekerja dia akan ambil pekerja, and that will make the economy better lah. So this will go on in the fourth quarter, and then next year pun we expect that things will be better. Hopefully, touch wood, we don't get another outbreak or anything like that. So government pun expect economy to be better next year, 5 to 4.5% to about 6.5%. Kita pun around that range lah, about 5.8%. So inshallah, I'm confident that the economy will be better, on a better footing next year.
Right. So retail spending is giving traction to the economic
like
activities of the country at the moment.
Yeah.
Which is nice, because yes, personally I have contributed a bit to this traction also. Betul lah, Cik Imran. You know, the desire to go out and you know, spend money on the family, for the family, is something which a lot of us are doing, taking the consideration that we have been under lockdown for quite some time. Yeah?
Correct.
Thank you, Cik Imran. Soalan saya yang kedua, yang pertama untuk Cik Azizi pula ya. Ialah, given that we are expected to enter a recovery phase in the economy, what would be the best approaches for companies, the likes of SMEs, to adopt?
Okay, terima kasih, Prof. I think that this is the best time, the opportune time, I suppose, for the company to reflect what have happened for the last 2 years.
Right.
In a way dia macam memaksa company-company ini untuk lihat balik ke belakang, imbas kembali, what they could do differently misalnya. Yeah? Sebab ini adalah trying time for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Benda yang tak pernah kita terfikir akan berlaku, but it happened. So I think this is the best opportunity for companies untuk reflect balik, tengok balik daripada segi business strategy, tengok balik daripada segi produk dia, sama ada still relevant, in moving forward, and also macam strategi pemasaran, strategi penjualan, dan juga daripada segi supply chain. I think it's a comprehensive review must be done. So that orang kata lebih bersedia sekiranya benda yang sama berlaku di masa akan datang. Dan yang pentingnya sekarang ni, akibat daripada pandemik ni, kita telah memasuki satu era baru. Ya, kita banyak norma-norma baru. Dan norma-norma baru ni mungkin sesuatu yang dulu kita rasa akan berlaku, tapi kita tak ada experience ini. Sekarang ni macam talian online. Mungkin banyak company dulu fikir tak apalah, that is in the future, tapi actually that future happen a lot more faster. So I think we have to see, or the companies will have to adapt and also to think forward, try to capitalize on all this, orang kata apa, peluang-peluang ataupun cara-cara norm yang baru ni untuk mengubah strategi. Daripada segi strategi pemasaran, penjualan, dan segi produk, segala-galanya lah, supaya ianya akan lebih berkesan dan ianya boleh menghadapi sebarang cubaan ataupun sebarang challenges yang akan datang in the future. So in short, I think what is important right now for the company, kena kaji semula, tengok balik dia punya business strategy dia punya plan dia untuk moving forward.
Talking about going forward, also another question to Cik Azizi lah, It seems that digital and technology are becoming the buzzwords going forward. You mentioned going forward. But the pushback I'm hearing from some organization leaders of companies actually are saying that though it's a nice buzzword to be singing in this time that we're living in right now, but the cost of going digital and the cost of embracing technology, fintech, is not small by any measure. Your comments, please.
Jadi kalau kita tengok the digitalization ni atau transformation, digitalization atau teknologi ni, it has to be a journey. We cannot just jump into the bandwagon because everyone is basically now move towards digitalization, towards technology. So sebagai satu journey atau perjalanan, kita harus buat perancangan yang teliti. And we have to basically plan properly. We have to, in our plan ni, kita kena tengok juga, ambil kira kita punya perancangan short term, dalam waktu singkat, mid term, waktu sederhana, dan juga long plan, supaya apa yang kita buat hari ini dia akan masih boleh diguna pakai di masa akan depan. Kalau kita tak buat perancangan yang teliti, ini yang akan melibatkan orang kata waste of resources, waste of money dan sebagainya. Saya bagi contoh yang mudah lah, katakan kalau company ini melibatkan diri dalam logistik, kata penghantaran barang, mungkin daripada segi buat masa ini dia cuma memerlukan lori 1 tan misalnya for the logistik. Tapi kalau ikut daripada segi dia punya perancangan, dia punya strategic growth dan sebagainya, mungkin dalam waktu setahun 2 tahun dia cuma memerlukan lori yang 3 tan. Jadi dia tak payah nak invest beli trailer yang 20 tayar sekarang. Sebab kalau dia invest, of course it will involve a high capital upfront, dia kena bayar mahal, cost penyelenggaraan, maintenance will be mahal, and the worst thing is that the asset yang dia beli tu will be underutilized. So it's a waste. So this is where saya rasa mungkin kadang-kadang kita ni get a bit eager, excited. Kan, tengok orang invest on this equipment, kita pun nak beli. Tapi it doesn't suit kita punya mid term atau long term plan. So itu yang saya rasa strategi itu penting. Kita kena buat orang kata satu perancangan yang teliti lah kalau kita tak nak elakkan pembaziran. So kita dapat dia punya return on investment tu orang kata berbaloi lah.
Okay. Terima kasih Cik Azizi. Cik Hairi,
Yes,
lama sangat duduk diam kat ujung. It's time for us to fire away one or two questions untuk Cik Hairi. First question, Cik Hairi, what would be your advice to someone who is new to investing? Because now we're talking about the new norm. A lot of facilities are being made available to a lot of people, kan, because of technology, digitalization, for example. What is the advice you're giving to new investors? How does MIDF Invest fits in this, and how does it expect to change our lives?
All right, thank you. First of all, MIDF Invest, our first app to invest in the US market. So what would first of all, for someone who's new, starting the investment, start small. Okay, and you must know what is your objective for this, right? And then there's always a rush, lah. Orang kita kadang-kadang semua nak cepat kaya, kan? Letak duit sikit tapi nak jadi millionaire. So it's about long term. That's why I say about knowledge, start small, okay? Plan it, and then it's about long term. So they need to understand all these basic things first before they nak start invest. So investment tu tak payah besar, tapi yang penting dia start dulu. Okay, of course the best time to invest was 10 years ago lah.
Right.
But the second best time is today.
It's always 10 years ago.
It's always 10 years ago. So the second best time is today. You have to start now, you have to act now. It's small tak apa. At the end of the day, it's about that you're doing it, right? And then you make mistakes along the way. You cannot be 100%, all your investment successful, semua tak lah. So for someone who is new, dia kena, basic things ni kena ada dulu. Dia punya foundation tu kena ada. There's so many ways. Kita sekarang ada YouTube lah, kita ada podcast lah, kita ada webinars, kita ada all these online punya courses, all kinds of things. So people can be very resourceful. So banyak. Dulu nak kena baca buku ataupun nak really have to go to all these classes. Sekarang classes pun online. So in other words, kalau nak belajar tu macam-macam cara ada. Tapi at the end of the day, your planning tu must be betul. Tu for someone who is new. And how MIDF Invest as an app can help this, because during the pandemic people cannot go out semua, kan. So kalau cara lama dulu, orang kalau nak buka account dia kena pergi branch, dia nak kena isi borang. So what we introduce is 100% online onboarding. For someone nak buka account dengan MIDF Invest, 5 to 10 minutes, you download the app, you do all the registration, you have your IC, you do facial recognition, kita boleh onboard dalam 5 to 10 minutes, dia dah boleh buka account dah. And after that, the process is very easy. Kita boleh transfer duit from your bank account to MIDF punya account. And then on the app, kita boleh convert to US dollar. So usually dalam 15 minutes, not only you dah boleh onboard to open account, you dah boleh invest terus dekat US dah. Dah convert to US dollar and boleh dah invest. So that's how we brought this, like, look, you don't have to go to branches, you don't have to isi all the borang anymore, you don't have to do, nak transfer check lah, bank in, the old ways of process tu, we cut those things. The difference, I can tell you, it used to take like 1 month, 2 weeks to 1 month to open account. Now, we can do it in 10 to 15 minutes.
Cik Hari, hearing you explain this thing, and the first thing that comes to mind is, when something is so easily done, so portable, kat mana pun kita boleh buat, access by virtue of our own devices.
Correct,
Chances of fraud happening also are very, very high, I think, right? What is your advice to the individuals out there yang baru nak berkecimpung dalam bidang ni, Cik Hairi, supaya mereka dapat menjaga diri mereka dan investment mereka yang ada daripada jatuh jadi victim kepada fraud cases? What is your advice?
I think the first advice, when it's too good to be true, it's too good to be true. Always stick on that, whether it was advice to my family members, to my friends. It's very simple. If someone is telling you that on monthly basis you can make 10-20%, why am I not a multi-millionaire, right? So that's the first thing. But how not to fall into this is very simple. Kita ada bank negara, kita ada SC, kan? Stay to those that are properly regulated and registered with SC and bank negara. And they have hotlines. You can call them and ask, and they have their website. And they even have a website saying that do not follow all these companies. They have all those lists. So I think it's about everybody must have this awareness lah, kan? So we have our regulators, and they come up with all this list. So it's available out there.
So is MIDF having any kind of a YouTube online advisory courses for potential investors, first timers like me, for example?
Itulah, kita baru start, kita baru 4 bulan launch. Right now kita ada videos lah. If you download our videos, if you download our app, on our app ada videos. Okay. On our website, we have our own website at mydfinvest.com. We have all the articles, we have all the videos there, and then on YouTube also we have the videos. So that's the first step lah. Basically, those videos to teach how to invest and how to use our app. But going forward, yes, we're gonna have a coffee talk session. We're gonna have free webinars. So all this will help because tak semua orang same level kan, ada yang baru, ada yang dah expert. So we will try many ways to tackle different group of people. Kalau yang baru ni, okay, kita ada kita punya special class, just very easy. So all those very much in plan. InsyaAllah ni lah lepas minggu saham ni we will launch.
InsyaAllah. InsyaAllah. Okay, Imran.
Yes.
Question for you, sir.
Okay.
Despite your rosy outlook kita tadi about this year, next year, kan, retail spending kicking in and providing the much needed traction for the economic growth of the country and the region, still I can't help thinking there must be some concerns that you might have about our economy for next year. What are some of the possible landmines that we, private investors like me, small timers, and companies should be mindful of?
Well, definitely. I mean, although I said the outlook was rosy, I mean, we're not blind to the downside risks. I mean, there are a few that we are concerned about. One is the inflation situation in the US. So how that will affect us is that if inflation goes much higher than expected for longer, the US Federal Reserve would have to raise interest rate, and then we would follow suit lah. So then your financing cost will be much higher. Secondly, the situation of the property sector in China, at the moment is contained. Okay, inshallah, it doesn't become a contagion. But if it does, then of course their economy will be affected. And they being our biggest trading partners, of course, if something happens there, we're gonna be affected as well. And then thirdly, of course, resurgence of the COVID-19 lah. Hopefully there's no new variant. I think what happened this year was we didn't foresee it coming with the Delta variant. Hopefully there's not another variant that will lead us to another prolonged lockdown and things like that lah. So those are three of my main concern at the moment lah, that things need to but on the overall case, as I said, inshallah will be better for next year.
Okay. Nice. Very reassuring words coming from you. Coming back to Cik Azizi. If you're speaking to the head of an SME investment head, for example, and you were be asking for some advice, what would your advice be, Cik Azizi? Should they expand now? Is it a good time for them to expand? Things are on the downside. Or should they start to scale down? Should they borrow more to sustain their own businesses? Should they diversify their product? Is it a good time for diversification, or is it more focused product development that you are looking for? What works for these companies? Cik Azizi, your views, please.
I wish I have a crystal ball in front of me.
you are our crystal ball, of course.
But anyway, I think that a few items, which Prof pointed out just now, whether companies should grow right now or they should take a back step and they should borrow more and so forth. Of course, as a banker, if you ask me, I would like people to borrow more. But let's be objective in this thing. Yeah. So I think it's very much depending on the company. Whether what's the projection like. If, for example, their growth projection is good, for certain sectors, certain industries, for example, right now they are doing well. Or they are doing better compared to the rest. Like those in the electronic sectors. We know that the demand for electronic parts now is shortage. Or you're in the medical devices. The demand is there. I think this is an opportunity for you, perhaps, to grow your business. Kalau kita tengok sekarang ni pun daripada segi profit rate offered by bank pun rendah. So maybe this is the best opportunity lah kalau you nak expand your business, at least you have a better cash flow lah because you are paying lower loan. Tapi kalau your business is not that good moving forward, maybe your priority right now is more like orang kata to reboot the business, restart the business and sustain the business. I think that should be the priority. So of course, if you are in this category of companies, I don't think it's wise for you to start investing, to grow your business. despite the fact that the current low profit rate environment. And I think as I said tadi pun, I think this is also the opportunity for the companies to look at their product. You know, the emergence of so many new norm macam seperti e-commerce. You know, rakan saya Encik Harry cakap, you know, you're talking about the e-commerce, you're talking about the new way of doing things, you know, and people are buying more and more things online, you know. So if you used to be on the relying on brick and mortar business, harap orang datang ke kedai baru ada pesanan. Mungkin sekarang ni terpaksa having a hybrid model. Yeah. So sama ada perlu diperkembangkan, produk harus diperbagaikan dan sebagainya, semua bergantung kepada company itu and also the industry or the sector they are in. Yeah, so my advice is don't simply follow the rest of the people lah. Don't jump to the wagon. Tengok orang berkembang, kita pun nak ikut berkembang. Dia orang kata sekarang ni interest rate punya environment is cheap. You know, you ambil loan sekarang ni murah, and then ada moratorium dan sebagainya. Tapi kita kena fikir moratorium ni cuma short term. Yeah, habis 6 bulan, then you back to serving your loan.
And so it's not free.
It's not free. So jangan orang kata having a very short minded punya perspektif lah. That is my advice. Prof.
As you were walking towards the stage, can I ask you, gentlemen, whether you're already working from the office? The answer was we are still working from home, especially the more senior persons are advised to work from home as much as possible. How has MIDF changed because of the COVID pandemic? You know, what you guys are coming out bright and rosy. So how has MIDF as an organization changed from a leadership perspective? Because that's what I do at work. Curious about that. Anybody who wants to take a stab at my question?
Maybe Aziz would like to first, and then I'll
okay.
Let me jump somebody on this.
You know, we MIDF is considered small. You know, we have only about 400 over employees. You know, we don't have luxury of having so many branches. So we have to be mindful and careful in terms of how do we break our employees into working from home, working from office. And also kita punya business, for example, dekat investment bank kita ni regulated business. Yeah, so we cannot afford to close, you know, even for a day or even half a day. So we have to make sure the continuity business. So this is where we have to, orang kata, be careful lah in terms of berapa orang yang kita boleh datang ke pejabat dan sebagainya.
Correct.
Tapi daripada segi leadership, since Prof, you know, berminat untuk tahulah mengenai soalan mengenai saya rasa it is a good practice environment, you know, for us to really apply the knowledge, the skills that we have at this moment. Yeah, especially kita working from home, for example. You know, sometimes we have to make a critical decision there and then, you know, without having the people surrounding you.
You don't have your team with you.
Exactly, you know, but as a leader, we have to make a certain decision. Okay, this is where I think you have your orang kata apa, your wisdom, you know, your experience, everything come into play when you have to make certain decision. And also, you know, how do you motivate the employees? You know, you are not, they're not in front of you, even though you connected virtually, but they are basically away from you, you know. So how do you motivate them? How do you actually get them engaged together dengan you to make sure that business is uninterrupted? You know, we still deliver, you know. So that's my point, Prof. Yeah. Maybe my colleague ada tambah.
Maybe I tambah. Well, one thing yang I noticed, or at least what after the pandemic, and then what I think how we came out of it is that the accelerate the digitalization of our business operations, and it's fantastic, I think.
So there is something good coming out from COVID.
Of course, definitely. As any crisis, you have to learn from it, and then, you know, there is of course a good an upside to it. So dengan faster digitalization, we can see that communication is better, decision can be made faster. When you want to have a meeting, for example, kita try tanya WhatsApp je, free tak free, okay free, buka MS Teams, jumpa terus kan. Kalau tak kena jumpa, kena book bilik lah apalah kan. So benda tu semua very fast. And then in terms of human capital, I speak just on behalf of just myself, on my team. One thing I notice is behavior of people. And I think before masa pandemic tu, masa lockdown tu, my initial worry was that productivity will come down and all this kan. But I think we should give credit to our fellow employees kan, everyone and everything like that. I think it shows that all people have good intentions and all this, and actually productivity maintain or at some point increase juga pun ada juga kan, because people are a bit free to work from home and all this kan. So it's quite interesting quite an interesting journey for me.
Okay, Hari, your point?
True. Just to add the two gentlemen's point, totally true. Kita launch kita punya app. Before that we actually plan, we execute, we work with different vendors. Everything was online. Okay, we launched the product in July online. Okay, and we managing or handling the clients now 24/7 online. And as of today, as I mentioned about the MIDF Invest, everything that we do is online, whether our app, behind the scene, that is accelerated a lot of things. If it's not just for MIDF, I guess it's the same thing for other companies lah. And I think one thing to add is the trust that we have on our employees as leaders, that we put the trust on them. And my boss always say it's no longer work-life balance, it's work-life integration. How we manage that, right? It's no more 9 to 6 kind of job kind of thing, but how we manage that, and then we have objectives, we have what we want to achieve, we have deadlines, we go for it, and we trust that our people can do it. I think that's key, and how things have really changed in this 1.5 year actually.
That's right. It's so nice to hear. I can use your terminology. It's work-life.
Not me, my boss.
I keep getting that question. How do you develop this work-life balance kind of thing?
Yeah.
But we're coming in with the perspective of work-life integration.
That's right.
Because our work and our life become one and the same.
Yes.
I was talking to a chief technology officer of an MNC a couple of days ago on the Zoom chat. And he was saying that I've tried for many years, Sabri, to make our people to come closer to embrace digitalization as faster than possible. He said that thank God for COVID, because COVID was the one who moved our employees over to embrace technology faster and more effectively compared to what I could do in my capacity as a chief technology officer. If there's one thing you think MIDF should learn more and do differently, kalau ada pandemik lagi satu lah, insyaAllah tak ada, kalau ada, what do you think we should do differently just to come out a bit more bright and shining? Kalau ada.
Wow.
Yeah, wow.
I think it will be the adoption of the technology much faster, even before, let's say we have hindsight lah kan.
Yeah.
Kalau kita tahu nak ada pandemic, I think we would have done the digitalization and adoption of that much faster. So bila hit je kita dah relax lah. So masa first few months of the pandemic, it was quite hectic lah, trying to get things running and up that. But alhamdulillah, we managed to do it lah.
Now we are more prepared, right?
Yes, exactly.
Thank you very much.
So
here we have it, tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, ladies and gentlemen. We have listened to the 3 excellent crystal balls of MIDF, memberi projection masa hadapan, how the economy is going to be looking and how we are going to be doing well this year and of course the subsequent years as well. And this is Muhammad Sabri Rawi signing off with the 3 gentlemen from MIDF from session Makan Dulu. Thank you very much and terima kasih.
Thank you.